Today's video is about one prompt charts, as you can see out here. So this whole one prompt charts I actually built during last weekend, and I was just playing around with prompts, because after ChatGPT came, to my understanding, the most important thing that became is using prompts, especially after GPT-4. When I started to use prompts, are very powerful, and that's why when I built this app after 3 hours, I realized that I need to emphasize on the fact the prompt in this whole app. That's why I need to name it as one prompt charts, not like a data visualization or something else. So as the name suggests, we are building charts with prompts. And the whole point, it took me around 3 hours, was just because to optimize the prompt. I mean, if you see the code, which we will discuss in today's tutorial, it's not much. It's very straightforward, very simple. Even we don't use LangChain. We don't use Pandas AI, which was very much a motivation for me to build something like this. We just use OpenAI large language model. That's it. And the main aspect, or the main brain, and the tool which we use are the prompt alongside OpenAI large language model. That's it. Let me just quickly give you a demo of this one prompt charts. Let's see how it works. Okay. So first thing, what I will do is I will load a data. So I'll just drag this data here. This data is about a spectra. It's a two-dimensional data. It has 2 columns, as you can see. It has this centimeter inverse column. It also has the intensity. Okay. So that's what the 2 columns, main columns are. And I think our prompt will be smart enough to allow our program to only to use these 2 columns and make plots out of it, or make charts out of it, right? So I've already made a sample prompt here, as you can see. So this is super important, okay? How precise the prompts are, how concise the prompts are. That's why we should follow the best practices for prompt engineering. And as you can see out here, I say that not only one plot I want to make subplots. So basically there are 4 charts which I want to make. So I said in a concise way, subplot 1, which is a line plot of the whole spectra. Subplot 2 is zooming into the spectra. That's a nice visualization, right? The third one is bit complicated prompt, but since I wrote it first you compare the area under the whole spectra and zoom spectra, then make a bar plot. You can rewrite this part, but I think this is well mentioned already what the final product should be. It should be a bar plot, right? And the next part is area of the zoom spectra. So you just make a zoom spectra, which we just plot out here. We just say the area under the curve. That's all. These are the few prompts which I wrote, which I'll pass it through large language model, and I press the get answer. And we are expecting, hopefully, that we will create a nice chart, which will have 4 parts, 4 charts, like 4 subplots, which we see in Matplotlib. And this is where I feel the more precise you are with your prompts, the better it is for our large language model to understand. And let's see, we are generating something. Prompt is the new programming, and as you can see here, we created 4 charts as we asked our large language model to. It's all vanilla OpenAI large language model. Trust me, there is nothing with LangChain or with Pandas AI. It's all about OpenAI. You will see the code, okay? You will understand. It's so easy, and you'll be like, seriously? So let's see, it plotted the whole spectra. Then we asked to zoom in this 1000 to 1200, right? That area. So it zoomed in also 1000 to 1200. That's particular wavelength. This is the wavelength axis. This is the intensity axis. Compare the area of the whole spectrum. You see, this is where it compared also, and also an area curve out here. So somewhere it understands what we are trying to convey to it. That's where prompting is so powerful. Prompting is the new programming. Cool. So without any further delay, let's dive into the code for one prompt charts. I'm pretty sure you guys will be like, oh, it's that simple. It is that simple. We'll write this app together. We'll deploy this app together. So I have already built the framework of this app. Okay, so there are a few important stuff which we should discuss. The main aspect is how we define the prompts, how we define the OpenAI functions. These are the most key part, and I think it will be better if we discuss about those part and what the main brain where it lies. So if you see this library, this is typical data buttons editor, okay? If we go to the library, there a function which I wrote, handle the OpenAI query. That's important, right? But first we define the model which we'll use. We'll use GPT 3.5 Turbo. Why not GPT-4? Because I found, and this is very important to note, that GPT-4 is more of conversational. It's more talkative, and our aim is to get a bunch of code. That's the whole idea, to get a bunch of code and then dump it and create the plots. So GPT 3.5 is much more precise in that if we know how to write the best prompt. When we know how to write the best prompt, that's where GPT 3.5 is at its peak. So we'll use GPT 3.5. You can try with GPT-4 also, you'll see the differences. So this is about handle OpenAI query. The two things which you need to pass is the data frame. So basically we load a data, we'll pass the data frame as I showed in the demo chart. We load some CSV file. All you do is convert into a data frame. That's it, using pandas. Why column name is important? Column names actually serve as the metadata of your data frame. That's why we also need to pass the column names as well. So this is like the arguments which you will pass in here. Now we'll create a text box, which is basically our UI's prompt, which was basically all these lines which I showed you before. That's typical Streamlit way of creating a text area box. Okay, we still didn't come to the main part. Then when someone clicks the get answer, then when the main part starts. And what's the main part about? Okay, let's dive into that first now. So if the main part, or if the prompt is not like null, or it's not like empty, then only we start doing the rest of the part. So we write a prompt content. So this is basically a part of our prompt. We concatenate two strings kind of. So if you see this prompt very carefully, that's how I start. The dataset is already loaded into a data frame named df. Do not load the data again. You see the prompt here with caps, I say, do not load the data again. This was very important because, I was just trying out here in ChatGPT, okay? And I just saw every time it was so important to be precise about the prompt, to repeat it and to make it understand, do not do it, okay? And also if you see, it's already loaded. So every time it must ensure that it takes data frame df, not any other df. It is named as df. The data frame has the following columns, and I pass this column. That's why this argument which we used before, you see, I pass that as a column names. The next part is what few more things which it should do, like before plotting, ensure the data is ready, check if columns that are supposed to be numeric, all this thing, convert the time, and all this thing. Can also write more kind of handling functions like 1, 2, 3, 4. But these are the few things which I often came across, and that's why I felt that this is important to make sure it does these functions. A few limitations of this prompt to chart, because it cannot handle so many different types of it. You can make prompts better, test it, and try with other stuff. The next part is about use package pandas and matplotlib only. So I highlight this part, only do that, okay? That's also very important. By the way, in our environment, when I speak about this, if you see, if I go to configure part, there are only 3 packages which I load: OpenAI, Matplotlib, and pandas. So you can imagine that our environment has only Matplotlib and pandas to work with. So we need these things there. It cannot work with something else because we're not working in our local environment. It can just install itself and do all the stuff. So our app environment needs the package to be installed. So for that, we strictly mention use the package pandas and matplotlib only. That's why, that's the reason out here. And then I say that provide a single code block. So, this is where GPT-4 doesn't perform well for this particular case, that it gives a lot of code blocks. So all I say, give a single code block. So I don't need to do so much of editing with the code format. I get the code right away. Again, I repeat, use single code block. Do not explain the code. Do not give the comments. Wrap up the code in a single block. So there's a few things which I need to remember. That's why the best practice for prompt comes. And I think this is one of the guide which I actually used. Best practices for prompt engineering with OpenAI API. Have a look. I'll just leave the link in the description box as well. This was very helpful to understand. And that's something which I also kind of leveraged here while writing this prompt. And one last thing, few additional features if you want to add. I also say, because I thought my app will be particular color, the whole CSS stuff. So I say that the axis should have this thing, the background should be this, use this color palette, don't go some other color palette. It's just to make sure that app looks nice, okay? So, and this will also giving a context to you guys that you can actually have more additional features for your app if you define them here. And then there was this messages, which is typical way of writing OpenAI models. The role is system, and in the system message we also write that it's a helpful data visualization assistant. That's a very basic one which we give. And then we just pass the content, the prompt content out here. You see the user prompt content here. So we'll collect our user's query, we dump it, we alongside with this prompt, we concatenate it together. So we use F strings here and we pass it back to the prompt content. That's how the whole plan is. That's the whole framework of the prompt. And this is the most crucial part which we just discussed now, this whole prompt. So once there's a prompt, we just call our OpenAI function. As you can see out here, we just chunk it, we stream it. It's not vital to stream it also because it's up to you if you want to stream it or not, but we just stream it as well. This is the part where you do the streaming, and that's why we use this for loop. We chunk our OpenAI completion and we just stream and we get the whole response. So you see, there is no LangChain, no Pandas AI. We are using vanilla OpenAI functions, and that's it. I wouldn't call it as functions. It's just OpenAI having a chat completion. That's it, right? Now, one thing, if you see this execute OpenAI code, we wrapped up this output, this particular output which you obtained, the result which you obtained, into few more lines of code. I will tell you why we use it. So the function is execute OpenAI code. For this context, you need to know two more other stuff, okay? One of them is we kind of extract code from Markdown. So at times it comes as a Markdown format, okay? Like it has this 3 tick blocks, and then this 3 tick blocks, it comes like this. And also it needs to clean the Markdown if it comes like, because you have to do a lot of error handling out there. And that's why we kind of find the code between 2 delimiters and we join the code all together. This function is doing that. And this is one of the part of the function. So this extract code from Markdown. The other function is, if it's a code, we handle the error. If it's a code, after performing this function, this is coming under execute OpenAI code. And that's what we use out here after the response comes. If it's a code, we try to execute the code. And you see, all the secret of this whole app lies in one particular base Python function, that is execute code. That's it. And when it executes, we say st.pyplot, this typical Streamlit function to plot any matplotlib plots, because we're using matplotlib or pandas, and pandas is also dependent on matplotlib. So you see, it's very straightforward. We do the execution of this code and then we say st.pyplot. And if it's an error, we do some error handling. We just give some, wait for the end users to understand, right? That's it. That was the whole brain, whole tool of our app. There was, I think it's a utility function which you can write. It's a data file uploader, and you just upload a PDF file, convert into pandas data frame. So you can actually add a lot of other additional supports also, convert into data frame, which should has a variable df, because that's what we defined in our particular prompt, that it will be named as df. You see, that's how it's connected. We should always load as df. And then there was a key check. That's not so important, but it's about your OpenAI API key is there or not. Cool. So that's the whole brain of the app. That's why I felt this is a part which we should discuss. And now we just call these functions and we finish our whole app. Let's do that part now. Okay, so now we write the app, right? So we already have imported the important stuff, the important necessary modules, the data button we need the Streamlit. We need to import from the utils the get data, which is basically for loading our or uploading our file. We will also need the handle query from our tools, which is the brain of the app. And also we need the key check function, which is we can write our own also by using the text input box. Not necessary, but since we already have in a template in data button which you can access, let's use the key check function. It has additional functions as well. But the key part comes here. Streamlit has the option to remove this deprecation notice. Okay, that's why I use this set option, because we're using pandas and matplotlib. When the plot comes without this, there's always a kind of a notice which comes that it will be deprecated. We just don't want to show that. That's why this particular line is mentioned. Now let's start to write some code. So first we need is, let's say we can add a title. Perfect. And the next part is we need a place for our OpenAPI key. By the way, now since I already have this OpenAPI key out here, that's why it don't show me that provide me with a new OpenAPI key. You will see that. So I'll just use this function key check out here. Okay. If you don't like this function, just use st.textInput, and you can just use end this part. text input, you can just enter your OpenAPI key. You can allow your end users to do that. But otherwise, just store it in the secrets like I did and use the key check function to do the rest of the stuff. It's not the main goal, but we have seen this in other videos as well. The next part comes where we need to upload our data. Without data, we cannot do anything. Again, there are two options. One, you can load from data button storage like this, copy code snippet, you pass it like a data frame. If you don't like it, go here, use this particular function called as, we define as data frame, which is important because that's how our prompt understands. We define data frame, we say get data. And now if I pass this thing and if there is the key check function is working, you see I get a place for our data. Let me upload the data as well. Cool. But we don't see anything. So if there is data frame, I just write st.write data frame. Now let's see if it works or not. So there is some issues. So I'll just write in this way. If is not none, maybe like this. Yeah. So this is how, maybe that's a way we can just save data frame is not none. Then we just dump it out here. Cool. But we don't need to see, we know the data already. We can just try some other data as well. But we need one more thing. So I'll show you why we need that. So the next function which we need, the main function, the main tool function which we need is handle OpenAI query, which we already defined here, we imported here, right? And that needs input argument as data frame, and it also needs the column names, right? Column names. That's why we need to get the column names. So we just say column names, and here we will need to concatenate the part of our column. So how we do it? We do it this way. So we just use delimiter kind of dot join, and we say df dot columns. I say this will work. Okay, let's also test it once, and let's try to see if it works or not. Column names, and we try to see the column names. You see all the column names which was there in our data frame starts to pop up here. These were the two columns, right? It comes up. So it's working as well. And we pass this thing. Tada! Our app is ready almost. So let me just add this function. Its app is ready now. So now we start writing a prompt, and that's it. Then that's all we need for our particular app. You see, we already defined in a well-organized way our library, the tools, and the key check function, everything. We are ready with our app. We dump our prompt and we can test our app. Let's do the testing of our app now, and then we deploy. Okay, I think most of the part is written. I just want to correct this part. Okay, it just removes one delimiter, not two of them. Okay, and it joins them together. Cool. So let's upload our one of the data. So data here, if you see, and now we have uploaded the data. It's loaded. Maybe I'll just try with a simple prompt. Okay, plot a line chart of the spectra. Okay, and I ask for get answer. Let's see. You see, prompting is the new programming under the hood. You see all the codes are getting rewritten. All this df which we passed, the column names which we passed, all this thing is passed there. It makes its own plot here. We execute it, and then our plot is ready. It's that simple. It's that fast. You know, that's where I felt, it's my personal opinion, that Pandas AI or LangChain, it was comparatively a bit slower, but this is doing it much more faster. We can also ask, can you zoom the spectra? Let's say from 2500 to 310, 2500 to 3100. I don't know. Let's give a try, okay? And there's also a spelling mistake, but let's see if it works or not. We don't know. Let's give a try. Oh, it's giving XLib, so maybe it knows. And you see, it knows it. It's that easy, okay? That's the power of prompting. Even if it's a spelling mistake, but it's the concise our prompts are, the better it is. But it is working. So this is something which I really want to highlight, how prompts are useful to execute any large language model, how useful it is to understand the importance of prompt, and prompting is the new programming, right? And that's something which I really want to emphasize in this whole tutorial. And we just deploy this particular app in no time now. By the way, Data Button now supports custom domain. We can actually also submit for custom domain. We just deploy the app. Simple. We just deploy the app. Also, I think we can also support access also. So if I just press yes, it's available for everyone, and it's just now deploying. Once it's deployed, and then we can just open this link and it will be our app. You can share with everyone. As simple as that. So that's all for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one prompt charts tutorial. It's super easy, but the message was the power of prompts that will help us to build any charts. That's how we can actually have a nice use case of large language models and build amazing stuff from it. Please write in the comment section what you guys think about it. I'm pretty sure it's something which for me to visualize data in this way was super fun, and I hope you guys will like it. Please share this video, like this video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.